This is WCTI News Channel 12 at 5. Getting the facts right with Valentina Wilson, Wes Goforth, and Chief Meteorologist Skip Waters. News Channel 12 at 5 starts now.
Changes again to North Carolina's voting laws. Now there's only 1 day left to register to vote. We tell you what else you need to know.
And a meth lab is busted. Deputies say a 3-year-old child was in the home.
And a woman faces several animal cruelty charges, what police say they found when they went inside her home. Good evening, I'm Valentina Wilson.
And I'm Wes Goforth. Welcome to News Channel 12 at 5. A decision by the United States Supreme Court yesterday means changes to voting laws in our state again. And they are changes that affect the November election, changes you need to know about and understand. Reporter Amber Roberts is joining me live in the studio right now to break down the facts for the voters. And Amber, what does all of this mean for people who want to vote for next month's election?
Well, Wes, two things. First, North Carolina has done away with same-day voter registration, and also they don't have to count your votes if they aren't cast in the correct precinct. Okay,
so let's break these down one at a time. No more same-day registration. You can't go and register and vote on the same day.
That's correct, Wes. The Supreme Court decided to side with North Carolina's recent change to eliminate same-day registration. So for voters, that means they need to make sure they are properly registered to vote by tomorrow, Friday, October 10th at 5 p.m. If you are not registered or have had a change of address, you need to submit that updated information to your local Board of Elections office by tomorrow. The clock is ticking, so people really need to make sure they contact their Board of Elections office if they have any concerns with that.
And the second change as of yesterday means that the state no longer has to count ballots that are cast at the wrong precinct. Tell us more about that.
What that means, Wes, is basically if you want your vote to count, you need to make sure you go to the proper place. If you vote at the wrong precinct, the U.S. Supreme Court says North Carolina doesn't have to count it. A Board of Elections official tells me often voters will go to cast their votes at a place they find convenient, maybe a location close to where they work or at a site near where they are taking a lunch break. But there is no more of that. You can only vote where your precinct is, and that is only representative of the candidates where you live at. So that's why they're doing that.
Now, these changes were part of the new election law that went into effect at the beginning of this year, but it still has a couple of more features in that law that weren't addressed yesterday. Where do they stand right now?
Well, basically, these two changes were taken up by the U.S. Supreme Court, but other components of that bill have not been taken up. Two of those being that you have to present ID in the 2016 election, and also the reduction of early voting days. We are now only going to have 10 days of early voting.
Which is already in effect as of this election.
Correct.
But no voter ID until 2016.
Right. We have a couple more years on that.
Amber Roberts, thank you very much for clarifying for us tonight right there. Our fact check is going to explain how many people might be affected by these changes. Nearly 95,000 people registered to vote during the early voting in the 2012 general election and cast their ballots that same day. But you can't do that anymore. Court records show that 90% of the almost 7,500 people who cast out-of-precinct ballots for that election had their choices fully or partially counted, but no more. You have to vote in the right precinct. Early voting, as Amber said, has been reduced now to 10 days for this November's election.
An Onslow County man is arrested on meth charges, but deputies say he faces more serious charges for allegedly exposing his 2 children, one of them a 3-year-old, to hazardous chemicals. Investigators arrested that man in Richlands yesterday. News Channel 12's Katie Harris has been working this story for us all day. She has the latest.
Arrest warrants state that meth was being cooked in this trailer, and in the process, 2 kids were exposed to the hazardous chemicals. Reporting in Richlands, Katie Harris, News Channel 12.
Justin Pellick is being held at the Onslow County Jail under a $135,000 bond.
Well, it was just a tad cooler outside today, but we enjoyed some more bright sunshine again, and now we're looking at some possible changes as we get into the weekend. For now, though, Skip is tracking our night straight ahead.
All right, let's start off with Storm Track 12 live Doppler. And
a Greenville woman tonight is charged with animal cruelty. Police say 5 puppies died in her home. 28-year-old Regina Elliott faces 3 charges of cruelty to animals. Police say a Pitt County deputy saw a dead puppy in a crate on the front porch of Elliott's home on Colonial Avenue Monday afternoon. Officers searched that home. They found 4 other puppies. All died later in the day. Police say the puppy's mother is alive tonight and is no longer in Elliott's custody. The cause of the puppy's deaths is being investigated.
A teenager shot in New Bern last night continues to recover. New Bern police say the victim is Willie Midget of Pamlico County. Investigators say Midget was shot on the 700 block of 2nd Avenue just after 8:30. He was taken to Carolina East and then Vidant Medical Center in Greenville. Police tell us Midget is stable, but Vidant officials say they don't have any information on him. There's no word yet on any suspects.
A vacant home in Kinston goes up in flames, and it is considered a total loss tonight. That's according to Kinston police. They say it happened at a home on Lincoln Street about 6 o'clock Wednesday evening. Police are investigating the cause. No injuries were reported.
The State Department of Health and Human Services is reporting North Carolina's first flu death for the 2014-2015 flu season. An elementary school-age child in the Triangle region died last week because of complications from a flu infection. The DHHS says the child was at risk for complications from the flu because of an underlying medical condition. Last year, 107 people in our state died from the flu.
Well, police pepper spray a teenager when they mistake him for a burglar.
It was like, put your hands on the door. I was like, for what? I was like, this is my house.
Now his foster parents tell why it has hurt their family.
And a veteran was shot in the face during World War II. We'll show you how he's being honored for his service.
No rain locally, but we're tracking showers to our north that are easing their way toward North Carolina. How does that play with the weekend forecast? That's next on News Channel 12 at 5.